So the article we read this week, the chapter Junkin Po discussed a lot about how Junkin Po is very similar to Hawaii's history, and how Hawaii is really just this melting pot of cultures. And the game originated in Japan, but it's definitely been accustomed to local culture in Hawaii. And the reading mentioned that Junkin Po was played and said in different ways depending on who was playing it, where you're from, and this is definitely influenced by these different cultures and even different, I guess, even dialects you can say, given that people were speaking a lot of pidgin. One of the analogies that I thought stood out to me was that how Junkinpo did not really have a winner, and there's always some sort of chance for redemption. And connecting this to minority groups in Hawaii, in a previous article we read, both Japanese Americans and Native Hawaiians continually face discrimination and uh, alternated in gaining political power and rights, as highlighted in, I believe, the article was Colliding Histories, which talked about the statehood of Hawaii being opposed for reasons of oppression. And connecting this to myself, the article mentioned that Junkinpo is symbolic of understanding Hawaii's common identity among these ethnic groups. And as someone who is half white and half Filipino, I feel like my cultural identity has been shaped in a very similar way. My diverse backgrounds have blended to create this unique cultural identity, especially in a place where minority groups aren't necessarily minority groups in Hawaii. And yeah, I just feel like local culture and Japanese culture shape Junkinpo just like how my very different backgrounds and living in Hawaii has shaped me a lot. Moving on to some questions the class posed to everybody. First question I want to talk about is how has tourism created participation in the false narrative of Hawaii? And I think that tourism has contributed to this false narrative of the island's histories by obviously romanticizing Hawaii for one, but also commodifying Hawaiian culture. And as someone who's studying travel industry management at UH Manoa, we talk a lot about this sort of stuff, and we learn a lot about how the colonialism and political struggles, and even the displacement of Native Hawaiians are the biggest issues we face from people who are against tourism. And not only that, uh, we just see that tourism in the past has really just misrepresented Hawaiian culture and exploited the land and resources Hawaii should be offering to the Native Hawaiians and the locals. But one thing they are working towards is regenerative tourism, where essentially people from uh, outside of Hawaii are coming over into Hawaii, leaving it better than essentially was when they came. So there's a big movement towards uh, breaking this false narrative that tourism has previously uh, posed on Hawaii, and just kind of repairing that image as tourism is really just one of the most important things to our state. I believe it brings in around 20 billion tax dollars every year, and yeah, there's just so much economic power behind tourism that contributes to Hawaii. So it's hard to just completely cut out tourism, regardless of the negative things it's done to us in the past. Moving on to the next question that kind of ties into this as well. Do you think Hawaii would be better off as its own sovereign nation or as a state? And I believe this really could go both ways. As a sovereign nation, Hawaii could ensure a lot of these economic benefits, which we're obviously thriving in. Because tourism does really well in Hawaii, would go towards natives and locals rather than corporations. I'd even better preserve our culture yet. Statehood and just being a state has helped our economy through obvious avenues like tourism and providing us the infrastructure Hawaii needed to develop as uh, just a place in the middle of the ocean. And both sovereignty and statehood has its unique advantages and disadvantages, given that Hawaii is just a very different place in its identity and its history.